Okay, good morning, everybody. My name's Eve. I'm the internship director of US On Air, and today I'm going to be hosting our group discussion. First, we're going to be showing a 1-minute video of each of our participants discussing the internship, what went well, maybe a little bit of advice. And we're going to start it off with Ani, who is our director of Ukraine On Air.
My internship at Democracy on Air, let's say, was exuberant. Given this being my first experience, I would say that Democracy on Air gave me countless amounts of opportunities to not only gain hands-on understanding on useful computer skills through WordPress, but more importantly, insightful knowledge on the political developments unfolding both the United States, my same state hub, Wisconsin, and my assigned country hub, Ukraine. Democracy on Air also gave me the privilege to learn some of the basic tools behind managing both a regional hub as well as managing a country hub. These simple tools on managing hubs like these generate a message illustrating that this internship not only gives you hands-on experience through working in nonprofit organizations like Democracy on Air, but enhances your understanding on the importance of promoting democracy both regionally and around the world. Democracy on Air is a key platform necessary for preventing democracy in two fronts. And one piece of advice for future interns to capitalize when joining an internship in Democracy on Air would be to do your best and let go of the rest. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Joe, who's our media director of US On Air.
I think that I've learned a lot from this internship about how to work in an office setting, which I didn't really have real experience in that before, purely just working with other students. And I also now have a lot more experience thinking about and dealing in the world of politics, NGOs, nonprofits. It just feels like I'm actually involved in what I want to be involved in, which is nice. And then finally, the advice I would give to any intern coming in is to put effort into the area that you're most interested in this internship, because there are multiple avenues for you to go down, and you'll only enjoy the internship if you are focused on doing something you actually like.
Next, we're going to hear from Parveen, who is our chapter director of US On Air.
This past semester, I interned with Democracy on Air as a part of the Global Politics Fellows Program at George Mason. Throughout the semester, I have learned about Democracy on Air's mission to create a place for everyone interested in learning about their federal and state government through providing nonpartisan information. This semester, I was a part of the curation team, along with the Virginia On Air team, which consisted of learning how to curate a post and collect the information necessary for the US MVA On Air Hub. Curating posts has played an important role during my time with Democracy on Air, as the information we curate is what will be available to anyone who wants to learn about their government and democracy. As a part of the curation team, I was able to spend a lot of time learning about the current events at a deeper level, which was extremely beneficial as a government and international politics major. In the past few weeks, my main focus has been setting up George Mason's On Air chapter, which will be called Students on Air, as it will give students the opportunity to engage and learn more about government representatives, candidates, and local regional issues through curation and civil discussion. I have learned a lot throughout my internship with Democracy on Air and look forward to seeing Democracy on Air expand after its official launch.
Now we'll hear from myself, the internship director of US On Air. One of the main takeaways for me from this internship is that interning reveals a lot about the transitional stage of youth that we're all in right now. In a way, it is a very transitional position, as it opens up pathways into and orients students with the modern workforce, but it also raises questions regarding the monetary value of students' time and work. Internship positions are often required by employers or universities for graduation, but the reality is that many students cannot afford to work for free. This creates an unfair cycle of missed opportunity for students that are financially independent or struggling financially. In this internship, I do feel good about building it into something that can eventually pay, but It has been very difficult to engage fully as I do not depend on my parents financially and I must work very long hours outside the internship in order to pay my rent. Let's now hear from Ben Murphy, the Executive Director of US On Air.
I think the best part of this internship so far has been watching the evolution of the progress and the evolution of what the actual interns themselves do. If you look at the project from the beginning of the semester and compare it to where we are now, you can see that there's been a lot of big changes, and those changes have really come from intern input a lot of the time. So it's cool to see how that has, like, how far we've really come. And I would say that some advice for future interns is look at the different areas of the project and find out which area you most enjoy, and then apply yourself to that area and try and give some thought to something that you think you could improve or something that could be done better because input is how we got where we are and it's going to be how we continue to evolve.
Next up is Yatarth, who is our Curation Director.
Hello, my name is Yatarth Pandey, and I am part of the Democracy on Air organization as an intern. My job is director of the curation team, and that involves being in charge of curating daily news and issue posts on the US On Air Hub website. This internship helped me realize how important news curation really is in spreading information as this organization is concerned, educating the public in democratic processes and civic engagement. The internship also helped me work on project-based deadlines, as this was the first time I helped a grassroots organization to get larger off the university. Collaborating with other interns was also a worthwhile experience, and I enjoyed helping Democracy on Air grow with more partners and refining the curation of the website along the way. Overall, interning with Democracy on Air was a worthwhile experience in project management, collaboration, and curation and current events to advance.
Now we'll hear from Paul Sullivan, who's the Speak Up Director of US On Air.
Hey there. I'm Paul Sullivan, and I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the on-air internship. So, anyways, I would like to talk about. I don't like this. Oh, stop.
The next person? Okay. Now? Alrighty then. Finally, we'll hear from Connor Oatman, who is the Aircasting Director of US On Air.
Hi, my name is Connor, and I was an intern with Democracy on Air this year. This year's experience with Democracy on Air really helped me learn a lot about working in a virtual environment with a really diverse team. And I'm super thankful for that opportunity to work and grow with them throughout this year and for all the work that we've done for the nonprofit so far. To any interns coming on in the following semesters or years, my advice would be come on with an open mindset and an attitude that you're ready to be adaptable because things are likely to change, but it's always going to be manageable and it's always going to be better, usually, for the organization.
Okay, now let's move on to the discussion portion of our Aircast, starting with Connor. How did you feel about the online platform of the internship? And do you think it would have played out differently if we were in person?
For me personally, the online platform took a bit of getting used to just to start with, but as it kind of progressed, I liked the flexibility and ease of meeting that the online platform provided. I feel like if it played out in person, we would have been a lot more strict with meeting times, and we wouldn't have been able to have as many meetings as we do to get as much planned throughout the day. I honestly feel like if we had been meeting in person and not been on an online platform, we wouldn't have been able to get as much done throughout the year as we had.
All right, I'm going to direct the same question to Paul. What do you think about the online portion of this? And how do you think you fared with an in-person internship?
Honestly, I feel that in terms of how internships are usually going, I feel that online internships are surprisingly common. So getting used to them here is probably a good place to start, especially given the flexibility that we have here on there. And in terms of having this in person, I feel that given the experiences we've had here in person, I think it's a good balance. I've, for at least for my role, I've mostly been doing sort of tangible outreach stuff. So um, I don't. It's hard for me to really say whether this would be better in person or online, but I do like the flexibility of having it online.
Thank you, Paul and Connor. Okay, next question is going to go to Parveen. Think back to the first week of this internship. Did it play out the way that you envisioned? And what surprised you?
I would say that it did because from the start I was told that I would be curating, and that's kind of been what I've been doing. I don't think much has changed, at least for like in my position. I've been curating and doing the on-air chapter, and I think that yeah, I mean it's envisioned like exactly the way that I thought it would be.
Are you happy with the position that you've taken up at US Honor?
I am. I think that I've learned a lot, and curating is actually easy, despite the fact that I thought it was going to be really hard when Scott showed me at first. So, yes, I would say
yeah. I'm going to address Ani with the next question. Did you have any past experience with internships or maybe jobs like in this kind of similar platform, like to prepare you for this? And how does it compare? And if not, this is your first experience. What do you think of all of this?
Honestly, I did not have any internship experience prior to Democracy on Air. This was actually my first time serving as an intern for such an online platform like Democracy on Air. But overall, as a first time intern for Democracy on Air, I felt that this experience was just more than just insightful. It was quite exuberant. I gained an opportunity to, let's say, learn additional amounts of computer literacy skills on WordPress and other platforms, and more than just curation or those computer literacy skills I learned. I even had the opportunity to learn the skills of managing hubs, whether it be regional hubs like Wisconsin or even country hubs like Ukraine and Air that I established. And honestly, from my first time experience in Democracy on Air, again, it was really joyful, and I hope to use some of the skills that I learned from Democracy on Air to apply to other internships I intend on applying for.
That's awesome. I kind of feel the same way. I've never really engaged with work in this kind of field, and I'm really thankful for the, like you mentioned, the computer literacy aspect of it, which I feel like I was almost lacking in a way. Um, okay, moving on. Who should we go to next? Actually, like going off that same question, can I address the group? Like, has anybody else in the group had another internship prior to this? Because for me, this is my first experience with it. Are we all first time interns here?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't had an
Pretty
internship
much.
before, but I do know, like, after speaking with, like, friends from different schools and even seeing some of the internships from, that have been, like, in our respective, programs at school, I feel
Mhm.
like there's definitely a distinction between this internship and some of the other ones. I think that with this internship, we've been given a lot of flexibility to kind of pursue areas that interest us, and I know that in other internships, some people have been really, stuck to a lot of like very menial tasks or other things that they're not particularly interested in. So I actually think that this internship might be somewhat of an anomaly with the kind of flexibility we've been given, and also like ability to pursue things that we interest. I'm not sure if you would expect to see that at other internships.
I think I have to really agree with what Ben was saying because I don't think there are going to be many internships that are going to allow you know college students to come in, like especially undergraduates, to come in and just totally restructure how like an organization does something. But I know I know Ben did that with the Aircasts, and I know that the way US On Air has approached social media has changed a lot just from what I've been able to do.
Oh, so, thank you. Yeah, thank you. I totally agree. Yeah, I feel like in a lot of internships, we kind of see this like almost robotic day to day. But I am really thankful, and I feel like I've really come into my own these last couple of weeks with that aspect of it, like kind of taking on this internship director role or research and moving it and making it my own, which I am really, really thankful for. Okay. This is going to be my last question, and I'm going to direct it to Yatar. Do you think that there are any drastic differences in internship culture between paid and unpaid internships?
I mean, in my experience, like I haven't really had a paid internship, so to say, for an extended period of time. I've had it like back when I was in high school for a couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just say, like, I mean, I don't know the specifics of most of them, but I would say maybe unpaid ones are a little bit more hands off, at least in my experience, like what Ben said, flexibility and all that. Sometimes you may, because like in the nature of the unpaid nature, I feel like it's a lot more downscaled. You can do a lot more with what you want to do out of your internship, I would say. The paid ones, you're usually given like a set position in like a company ladder or something like that. And you usually like talk to your man, keep in touch with your manager most of the time. And also, I'd say, yeah, it's just flexibility on what we all were allowed to do. Even like, say we wanted to do something new, like something like almost completely different, we could do that. We weren't denied that option. So yeah, I would say that would be a difference.
Okay. Connor, I'd like to get your 2 cents on the same question. How do you think paid versus unpaid internship culture differs, or does it differ at all?
I mean, personally, this was also my first internship, so I don't have experience into how the two could differ, but if I had to speculate on how the two could differ, I feel like there might be not less flexibility in a paid internship, and also a bit more pressure to kind of be on top of everything going on because of the fact that you are being paid. Like I know like here with US On Air, we've like already talked about how it's very flexible, but there's also like that flexibility has included a slightly more low pressure environment to kind of work not not completely at our own paces, but with flexibility in terms of getting things in and working more at our own pace for the internship. And I feel like there'd just be a lot more pressure on the intern themselves to perform highly and always be on top of everything, even if it's to their detriment, mental health wise or personally in terms of how it affects classes if it were a paid versus unpaid internship.
Right. Thank you for that, Connor. For me, I kind of go back and forth with the entire thing because I don't know, when you consider like us as students and like the work that we put in, like it's hard to say that it's hard to look at entry level positions and the way that like students like us get paid or not get paid or their work value, for example. And I definitely think it is valuable, this kind of flexibility that we have without the like kind of paid position. But then again, like I consider some students that can't really afford to do unpaid work. And it makes me wonder, could they be able to engage with something like this the way that we get to? I don't know. It's a complicated issue, but I think at the end of the day, we all are really thankful for the flexibility that we're afforded in this position. And I guess that's the main takeaway from all this discussion, unless anybody wants to add anything to that.
Yeah, I think that in some ways, the sort of or maybe the purpose of this internship is a little less oriented around some of the ideas that a paid internship would be, because it would be focused on, well, we're paying you, so you do these things. Whereas this is, and Scott has mentioned this, I feel like a few times throughout the internship, at least to me personally, that it's about, or that he wants us to focus on just learning the skills that he's talking about and things like that. And I think Connor was talking about this too. So so like we're in this internship that is about about certain goals and about learning certain skills, rather than, I guess, rather than functioning as a job in the sort of monetary way, I guess.
Right. And I feel like something really special, like, and unique about this internship that we're afforded that a lot of people aren't, is that we're building something from the ground up and kind of going back to like the flexibility, we're making it our own, which is really something special. So unless anybody wants to add anything else, let's move on to the, I guess, kind of closing advice, takeaways from all this. And let's start with Ani. Any advice for future interns, or kind of like closing remarks, final takeaways?
Yeah, so just one piece of advice for future interns who intend on working in Democracy on Air is just to try to be passionate in what you do. I mean, don't just do this internship just for the credit or just for the program. Be passionate about doing this internship, because more than just gaining this insightful experience on nonprofit work or even online platforms like Democracy on Air, you gain further insight on even just the center topics being focused within the organization, which is on promoting democracy. You can use your skills, whether it be computer literacy or just or anything that you learn from the internship, and apply it to any of your areas of interest. So again, be passionate about the internship. Don't do this just for the grade, and yeah, just like do your best on it.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Joe.
Yeah, I really I was really going to echo what Ami said. There's so many different avenues of work you can go down in this internship. As you can see, just by all our different titles in that, like, and we're all focusing on different things and whatever. So you have a lot of opportunities here. So think about it carefully when you're talking to Scott, because that really influences how you're going to be spending your days in this internship. And so if you do want to be doing something fun to you, something that you'll be passionate about, make sure you're aware of, at least somewhat aware of, how all the different avenues of this system work, because that way you can actually make an informed decision and be passionate about one of these jobs.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Parveen, same question.
I would say organizing your time well, because as we know, this internship is a part of the GPF and migration program. So just finding a way, we have a lot of flexibility, as you guys said, throughout the internship. It's just remembering to get everything done, including your studying along with your tasks for the internship, and just finding time to manage all that.
Awesome. For me, I'd say like the best piece of advice I could give myself in the past or like future interns is don't be afraid to like lean in to what you're doing. I feel like at the beginning I was a little bit apprehensive as it was like my first experience with like the modern like workforce with the nonprofit. And I would definitely say don't be afraid to voice your opinions because your opinions are valued and like there are people that want to hear them. And Ben, on to you.
Yeah, I would say probably two main things. This is kind of going off of what you just said, but if you have an opinion, voice it. There's a good chance that if you feel strongly enough about something and you have like a good supporting reason for it, that it'll be something that's taken, like listened to and taken seriously. So, definitely take advantage of that. And then the second thing is kind of take a few weeks, but find out like what areas that Democracy on Air participates in that you excel in, and then also what your peers do. Because I think, at least from my perspective, this has been like a very highly collaborative, you know, project, and finding out like what things people are good at and utilizing them in those areas is very helpful. So try and make the most of not only your skills but your peer skills as well.
Yatar.
Well, I would mainly say for a piece of advice, you'll get a lot of out of collaborating with others, especially in an internship like this. So I would say don't be afraid to meet with others, collaborate, share your concerns, your questions, and all that, because a lot of times that'll get you further than anything else. So developing collaborating skills is something you will eventually learn in this internship, and yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions. Pretty much is what I would say.
Okay. Second to last is Paul.
Yeah, so in terms of advice to future interns, so I come from a background where this is actually my first internship experience technically. I used to do undergraduate research work with Professor McGrath out in George Mason. And one of the things which differentiates here from the work I did with McGrath was the work I did with McGrath was very kind of oriented towards like a workflow, as in like I was mostly doing data entry on Excel. This internship is not quite like that. And actually, as a matter of fact, there's two key takeaways, which I think Ben, Eve, all the rest of y'all have really talked about earlier, which makes it that allows you to have this internship here at On Air have more of a potential. The first is that of being able to speak your mind, to talk about ideas, and to have that like realistically implemented into the future. I've had little in-person like off the books discussions with all of you, and one of the key ideas I've often talked about is, oh, what's the future of On Air, right? That isn't a conversation I had at all with my undergraduate research position, and I think that's something that is really worth considering. And I think when I say what's the future of On Air, I think the implication is what is the future that we're making with it, right? And that's something that not a lot of places have, especially at this at sort of ground level. And the second thing is that of like being able to network and communicate. At my previous internship, it was research position. It was just three people. I really didn't get to talk to them that much. Here, I talk to you basically every week, if not twice or three times a week. So I think it's an important opportunity, at least if you're looking, at least in the short term. Here is a great community of friends, of interns, that we get to talk about issues and we get to sort of grow into something that's more than ourselves. And that can carry on whether it's here or elsewhere. I think it's a very important takeaway. So that's my thoughts, at least for future interns.
Awesome, Paul. That was super insightful. And finally, we'll go to Connor.
I think probably the biggest bit of advice that I could give to future interns is come into this with a very flexible mindset. It definitely has changed a lot throughout the development of the year, and it's probably going to change even more as more interns are coming on. And I feel like part of the reason that we were able to make it work is all of us are very good, it seems, just through our collaboration at working with change and adapting to new things that go on within the internship. And I feel like so long as this nonprofit is continuing to develop and be built up, the interns working for it need to be able to work in a changing environment. They can't be coming into this thinking it's going to be one way and that way consistently. And if it does change, they might get like flustered by that. I feel like not the internship provides flexibility, but the intern themselves being flexible is a key aspect of the internship.
Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody, for all of like your insight, your comments, your collaboration. It's seriously been a pleasure like working with every single one of you. And I guess we'll start wrapping things up here. It's not all goodbyes because we're all going to stay on for I guess the summer to some degree. Anybody want to say anything before we go? No? Well, thank you so much, everybody. Seriously, like I said, it's been it's been a pleasure working with all of you. And this has been so amazing, like to learn from you, from Scott, from the website, from everything. So yeah, have a great rest of your day, y'all. And thank you so much for this today.